Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and so I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Ixion Saga Dimension Transfer Episode 12. And if you remember from last episode, we see Kon vs. Dukakis. It was an amazing build-up, but the end result? A draw? Really? Both Alma gears nullify each other out, and the ground underneath them collapses. Now we see Kon, Icarlet, Sanglion, and Pet on one side, with Leon. And on the other side, Dukakis, all of his soldiers, and his subordinates, and Mirandel. So Dukakis has Mirandel hostage, and Kon has Leon hostage. Now they do a little hostage exchange later on in the episode. But also, Kon throws in a little letter that goes to Dukakis saying, "Meet me at so-and-so location up on the cliff in the castle for our final duel." And obviously, Dukakis honors this, and he lets Mirandel go, and Leon's been let go, of course. But I thought it was funny. Why would you let Mirandel go? Did you forget Mirandel's a guy? Why are you being so sweet? I'm just putting that out there. But again, we are taking to a different scene with Kon, Sanglion, and Mirandel's now joined them, and as well as Icarlet. And they're at the castle that's an abandoned castle that's a ruin. And they're setting up all these traps for Dukakis and his men. And now they got Mirandel's help, which was kind of stupid. Why would you let Mirandel go? Why don't you just do a prisoner exchange face to face? That's just me. Sorry, I digress. Moving on. Now we do find out Dukakis falls for the trap. He goes inside with a few of his men, and they go to each trap one by one, and they're getting stomped by them. And finally, we are taken down to the last level. And you see all Dukakis' men, as well as himself. They're on the last floor, and they're face to face with Kon and Icarlet. And you do hear Kon, he basically says, "Don't move, I booby trapped this place, there's bombs everywhere," something along those lines. And Dukakis basically calls Kon's bluff. He takes his Alma gear out and strikes Kon. At least it appears like Kon and Icarlet are now dead. Now, I have a theory. I think it was the reflection in the mirror, or he used his Alma energy at the last moment to save them. But I'm more or less banking on the idea that they used the mirror reflection to get out of it. But anyways, it does look like Icarlet and Kon are dead. And at the end of the episode, we do see Dukakis leaving the castle in triumph. Apparently he believes he did kill Kon and Icarlet, although I very doubt that, but that's where the episode ends. Moving on, I'll hold my final thoughts and my rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned, but let's dive right in. Now we open up this episode not exactly where we left off. In fact, we're being introduced to Gustav yet again. Now he's got a new title, Commander. I think that's what he's originally called in his rank, but this is the first time I'm hearing him being called a commander, but sorry, I digress. So Commander Gustav, I'm just going to call him Gustav. Gustav and KT are now stalking Sanglion and Mirandel, because they're the only ones that are actually alive still. And they still don't believe that, Icarlet and Kon are dead, so they're just stalking both of them. And it's funny, they walk right into a city. It's called Mercosis, and I thought it was a cute little city. Yeah, I rarely ever say cute, but it was a cute little city. And apparently KT and Gustav, they're just not sure that Icarlet and Kon are dead, so they're going to keep stalking until they find the truth. But we are taken to a different scene with Gustav, and it's kind of interesting because they're also in Morquise. They're in an inn or another hotel right across from Sanglion and everyone else, and it's being pointed out, at least he's thinking it, and somehow KT knows exactly what he's thinking because he's talking out loud. And apparently Morcosis is a great place to pick up women, mostly because of the hostess clubs. And KT keeps telling Gustav, "Yeah, you're not going there," and it's hilarious. But again, on the first day, nothing really happened. Just more or less everyone checks in. Moving on to day 2, we are taken to a different scene with Sanglion and Mirandel. They basically go out. It looks like they were going to go shopping, but they split up. Both KT and Gustav trail them. It goes nowhere. I mean, at the most you see Mirandel just shopping, but we see Sanglion, he meets someone at a cafe. Just putting that out there. And we don't know who this person is, but he looks like Kon, but he's not. The jacket gives off a vibe that it looks like Kon. But the face, nah, someone totally different. So I thought that was worth mentioning. And we see a little exchanging of gold. I just thought that was worth mentioning. Why is there gold being exchanged this looks so suspicious, and Gustav, he definitely sees something that's a little out of the ordinary, but he looks so out of the ordinary himself. He's got a trench coat, he's looking in, it's like an erotic magazine or something. Yeah, of course no one's gonna notice you, right? Please, you stick out like a sore thumb. Just putting that out there. But again, that's where we're at there. But we do see apparently Gustav following this guy that was talking to Sanglion all the way up until to a cemetery, and then he vanishes. So it was a dead end there. But we are taken to a different scene. Now apparently we're taken to Leon as well as Varation, and it's back at the campsite. It's back where Dukakis is at, and they're just talking, random talking. And we see a little split scene with Dukakis, and he's laughing hysterically in his tent, and he's going crazy. I think he believes that either Cone is still alive or he's just losing it. Like, this isn't really happening. You're like, woohoo. But he's crazy. Moving on to a different scene. Now it's now day 3, and we're taken to Gustav and KT, and apparently nothing's happening yet, but they're still spying on them. And it's just hilarious. It's like a soap opera. Yeah, I just said that. It was like watching a soap opera between Gustav and KT. They're just going back and forth, and they have their goggles on. They're watching Sanglion as well as Mirandel, and they're trying to mimic whatever they're saying. Like, you see, E-Carlet. Well, sorry, I said E-Carlet. I meant to say Sanglion and Mirandel. Like, their mouths are moving, and you see KT basically like blah 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 blah. They're like mimicking what they're saying, but it's not exactly what they're saying. I just thought it was worth watching. But moving on past that, we do find out Sanglion is actually feeding cats outside. Why? There is no purpose. Why is he feeding cats? I mean, shouldn't he be in sorrow for his friends dying or something? But yeah, he's just shooting the breeze outside, and he's feeding cats. While Mirandel, on the other hand, she's undressing. So I thought that was kind of interesting. At the same time, I don't want to see it because Mirandel's a guy. You're only interested to see what's above level, not below level. And you see Gustav, he's peeping Tom. He's a peeping Tom. He's checking Mirandel out, and he doesn't know that Mirandel's a guy. I thought it was hilarious. I was like waiting for it, and then KT ruins it. Thanks a lot, KT. I was hoping, Gustav was going to find out the truth and be like freaked out. But I'm just putting that out there. Now we do find out Gustav mentions the Hostess Club yet again, and he passes out while drinking. Apparently, I'm just going to leave it at that. Him and these Hostess Clubs. Let me go to the next scene. Now it's day 4. Now apparently, nothing's changed. Everything's exactly the same. Sanglion and Mirandel have done nothing different, and it is day 4. Now, KT basically attacks Gustav when he gets in, because, he went to a Hostess Club and he got drunk. So he came back roughly in the morning, and KT beats the crap out of him. Like, thank you. I wanted to see that. Oh, that was well worth it. Just putting that out there. I love seeing that. Now, we also find out KT basically tells, Gustav, it's your turn. Now your butt's in the seat. Now we are taken to a different scene with Mirandel, and apparently Gustav actually sees Mirandel leave, and once KT checks in, he checks out the follower. So you see Gustav checking out Mirandel and following her to a bar. Just thought I'd point that out. And they are both drinking. It's weird because KT isn't with them. She's still KT is still at the hotel watching, Sanglion, but we see Gustav at a bar with Mirandel. They're in different, like, he's in a booth, she's at the bar, and she's just guzzling all this liquor down like it's water. I'm like, it's a guy though. Of course Mirandel can handle his or her liquor. So I thought it was funny. But you see Gustav trying to keep up. I'm like, aren't you staking this person out? Why are you drinking? I don't understand it. And they're both having like a drinking competition without knowing it. Well, Gustav knows he's having a drinking competition with Mirandel, but apparently Mirandel doesn't know she's having a competition with him. It's hilarious. And eventually Gustav changes his seats. He sits right next to Mirandel, and it's like, hey, it's like, put your gun down. It's like, now Mirandel knows she's been watched by Gustav. Now, they're kind of neutral right now, but it's weird. And all of a sudden, Mirandel keeps talking, and eventually she says something about, she notices that you guys, the key word, she says guys, meaning more than 2 people, even though technically only, come on, it's Gustav, he's by himself. Why would Mirandel say guys unless she knew she was being watched? So that was just blurted out. But it was hilarious though, nonetheless. But we are taken to a different scene. All I can say is bang, 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 bang. Oh, I just love this. We see Mirandel beat the crap out of Gustav, and I loved it. It was an amazing scene. That's all I can really say there. But it was hilarious. But this was after we see, Mirandel and Gustav talking, and it kind of got to the point where it's like got emotional. because I guess Gustav was trying to find out, is this really real? Are, so and so dead? And it looks pretty legitimate. And then out of nowhere, you do see Miranda say, "So you gonna pay for all my drinks?" And he's already drunk, so he's like, "Yeah, I'll pay for it." And then Miranda beats the crap, like I said, beats the crap out of Gustav. I'm like, bam! I'm like, didn't see that coming. Like, really? And he's like, "And you're gonna pay for my shot too, right?" "Oh yeah, sure." I'm like, what? Why the? That made no sense, but I love seeing that scene. Of course, we are moving on to the next day, and we are taken to a different scene with Gustav and KT. They're cleaning up. They're getting ready to go because, Gustav pretty much believes everything Miranda said, even though Miranda is a guy, not a girl. And something clicked. Gustav started thinking about the conversation he had with Miranda, and Miranda actually said, "I know you guys were watching me," or more or less, "I don't care if you guys were watching me." The words guys meaning two when only Gustav was there, and he clicks something is up. And they actually check to see who's at the hotel, and no one's at the hotel. Sanglion's gone, Miranda's gone. Like, well, where are they at? So they instantly jump out of the building, KT and Gustav, and they're chasing down. Yeah, they're chasing down Sanglion and Miranda, and we find out they're at the cemetery. They have coffins, they're all in black. They're burying, well, there's no corpses technically, but there it is. You see a tombstone for Cone and Icarlet, the headset, the flower piece. They have real flowers. They're saying they're, the whole funeral service and everything. It looks legit. That's all I can say. And the tears were very real. And you know what? It looks good to them. Both Gustav as well as KT. They're sold. They're confused, but they're sold on it. So the 5th day goes by and the mission is complete. They're done. And that's where the episode ends. Now, moving on to final thoughts. Is Cone and Icarlet actually dead? Yeah, no. They faked their death. It's that obvious because it was that poorly put together. So yeah, they're not dead. I'm sorry, I don't believe it for 1 second. Then moving on to Dukakis. Dude, you're losing it. You're going crazy. I'm surprised you're not ripping your silver hair out of your head. I mean, he's losing it. Now, as for Varation, he's hanging in there, as well as Leon. They were left behind. Now, moving on to Sanglion and Miranda. Well, more or less, I'm just going to focus on Miranda right now. My final thoughts for Miranda. What the hell were you doing at the bar? Were you messing with Gustav? Pushing his buttons? But I love your punch. It was definitely there. But still, was it part of the plan for you to go to the bar and get plastered to buy time or something? I want to know. And at the same time, I also want to know more about Gustav. Are you seriously into Miranda? Do you know Miranda's a guy? But again, I love Miranda, so final thoughts are just going to end right there because I don't want to go any further than that. As per my rating, at first I took a deep breath. I was going to give this a 2.5 out of 5 because I felt it was poorly put together and it was just a filler. But moving on past that, I do feel comfortable giving this a 3. A 3. But I thought about it even more. I know there's a but. 3.5 out of 5. It's close to the holidays, and I got a couple good laughs out of this episode, and I love my laughs. Now, I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5 instead of a 2.5 out of 5 because it made me laugh. There wasn't a lot of information. In fact, you were very like, WTF, what's happening? But more or less, it was a great episode to the point where it's confusing the heck out of Dukakis, Gustav, as well as KT on what's really happening. And it was more or less funny to see KT punch Gustav, as well as Miranda punch Gustav. Poor Gustav. Oh, who the heck cares about you, man? You had him coming. But again, final rating, 3.5 out of 5. But definitely, I'm done for now. I'm done for the holidays, guys. That's all I can say. So, I'm done with my walkthrough and review of Ixion Saga Dimension Transfer Episode 12. But definitely comment down below. Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe. And check me out on Twitter and follow me if you like. But again, let me know what you thought of this episode. And let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, that ends it for now, and I have to hit it. I've got to leave, so before I go, I have to say it, and I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.